The warrior of the light always keeps his heart free of any feelings of hatred. When he goes into battle, he remembers what Christ said, "Love your enemies," and he obeys. But he knows that the act of forgiveness does not mean that he must accept everything. A warrior cannot bow his head, for if he did, he would lose sight of the horizon of his dreams and that of his opponent. He accepts that his opponents are there to test his valor, his persistence, and his ability to make decisions. They force him to fight for his dreams. It is the experience of battle that strengthens the warrior of the light. Page 44. The warrior remembers the past. He knows about man's spiritual quest, and that this quest has been responsible for some of history's finest pages, but also some of history's worst chapters, massacres, sacrifices, and obscurantism. It was used for personal ends and has seen its ideas used to defend the most terrible of intentions. The warrior has heard people ask, "How am I to know that the path I am on is the right one?" And he has seen many people abandon their quest because they could not answer that question. The warrior has no doubts because he follows one infallible saying, "By their fruits ye shall know them," said Jesus. Following this rule, the warrior never goes wrong. Page 45. The warrior of the light knows the importance of intuition. In the midst of battle, he does not have time to think about the enemy's blows, so he uses his instincts and obeys his angel. In times of peace, he deciphers the signs that God sends him. People say, "He's mad," or "He lives in a fantasy world," or even, "How can he possibly believe in such illogical things?" But the warrior knows that intuition is God's language, and he continues listening to the wind and talking to the stars. Page 46. The warrior of the light sits around a fire with his companions. They talk about his conquests, and any strangers who join the group are made welcome because everyone is proud of his life and of his good fight. The warrior speaks enthusiastically about the path, about how he resisted a particular challenge or the solution he found to one especially difficult situation. When he tells stories, he invests his words with passions and romance. Sometimes he exaggerates a little. He remembers that at times his ancestors used to exaggerate too. That is why he does the same thing. But he never confuses pride with vanity, and he never believes his own exaggerations. Page 47. The warrior hears someone say, "I need to understand everything before I can make a decision. I want to have the freedom to change my mind." The warrior regards those words suspiciously. He too enjoys that freedom, but this does not prevent him from taking on a commitment, even if he does not quite know why he does so. A warrior of the light makes decisions. His soul is as free as the clouds in the sky, but he is committed to his dream. On his freely chosen path, he often has to get up earlier than he would like, speak to people with whom he learns nothing, make certain sacrifices. His friends say, "You're not free." The warrior is free, but he knows that an open oven bakes no bread. Page 48. To engage in any activity, the warrior needs to know what to expect, how to achieve the objective, and whether or not he is capable of carrying out the proposed task. Only a person who, suitably equipped, feels no desire for the results of conquest and yet remains absorbed in the struggle can truly say that he has renounced the fruits of victory. One can renounce the fruit, but that renunciation does not signal indifference to the results. The warrior of light listens with respect to Gandhi's strategy, and he remains unconvinced by those who, incapable of achieving any result at all, preach renunciation. Page 49. The warrior of the light pays attention to small things because they can severely hamper him. A thorn, however tiny, can cause the traveler to halt. A tiny, invisible cell can destroy a healthy organism. The memory of a past moment of fear allows cowardice to be reborn with each new morning. A fraction of a second opens the way for the enemy's fatal blow. The warrior is attentive to small details. Sometimes he is hard on himself, but he prefers to act this way. The devil is in the details, says the old proverb. Page 50. The warrior of light does not always have faith. There is fallibility. There are moments when he believes in absolutely nothing, and he asks his heart, is all this effort really worth it? But his heart remains silent, and the warrior has to decide for himself. He looks for an example, and remembers that Jesus went through something similar in order to inhabit fully the human condition. Take away this cup from me, said Jesus. He too lost heart and courage, but he did not stop. The warrior of the light continues despite his lack of faith. He goes forward, and in the end, the faith returns. Page 51. The warrior knows that no man is an island. He cannot fight alone. Whatever his plan, he depends on other people. He needs to discuss his strategy, to ask for help, and in moments of relaxation, to have someone with whom he can sit by the fire, someone he can regale with tales of battle. But he does not allow people to confuse this camaraderie with insecurity. He is transparent in his actions and secretive in his plans. The warrior of the light dances with his companions, but does not place the responsibility for his actions on anyone else. Page 52. In the intervals between battles, the warrior rests. Often he spends whole days doing nothing, because that is what his heart demands. But his intuition remains alert. He does not commit the capital sin of sloth, because he knows where that can lead, to the warm monotony of Sunday afternoons when time simply passes by. The warrior calls this the peace of the cemetery. He remembers the passage from Revelation. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. So then, because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. A warrior rests and laughs, but he is always alert. Page 53. The warrior of the light knows that everyone is afraid of everyone else. This fear generally manifests itself in two ways, through aggression or through submission. They are two facets of the same problem. That is why whenever he finds himself before someone who fills him with fear, the warrior reminds himself that the other person has the same insecurities as he has. He has surmounted similar obstacles and experienced the same problems, but he knows how to deal with the situation better. Why? Because he uses fear as an engine, not as a brake. The warrior learns from his opponent and acts in a similar manner. Page 54. For the warrior, there is no such thing as an impossible love. He is not intimidated by silence, indifference, or rejection. He knows that behind the mask of ice that people wear, there beats a heart of fire, of light. This is why the warrior takes more risks than other people. He is constantly seeking the love of someone, even if that means often having to hear the word no, returning home defeated and feeling rejected in body and soul. A warrior never gives in to fear when he is searching for what he needs, for without love, he is nothing. Page 55. The warrior of the light recognizes the silence that precedes an important battle. The silence says, things have stopped. Why not forget about fighting and enjoy yourself a little? At this point, inexperienced combatants lay down their arms and complain that they are bored or tired. The warrior listens intently to that silence and understands that somewhere something is happening. He knows that devastating earthquakes arrive without warning. He has walked through forests that night and knows that it is precisely when the animals are silent that danger is near. While the others talk, the warrior trains himself in the use of the sword, sharpening it, and keeps his eye on the horizon. Page 56. The warrior of the light is a believer. Because he believes in miracles, miracles begin to happen. Because he is sure that his thoughts can change his life begins to change. Because he is certain that he will find love, even if it requires patience, love appears. Now and then, he is disappointed. Sometimes he gets hurt. Then he hears people say, "He's so ingenuous," but the warrior knows that it is worth it. For every defeat, he has two victories in his favor. All believers know this. Page 57. The warrior of the light has learned that it is best to follow the light. He has behaved treacherously. He has lied. He has strayed from the path. He has courted darkness, and everything was fine, as if nothing had happened. Then an abyss opens up. One can take 1,000 steps in safety, but a single step too many can put an end to everything. The warrior stops before he destroys himself. When he makes that decision, he hears 4 comments. "You always do the wrong thing. You're too old to change. You're no good. You don't deserve it." He looks up at the sky and a voice says, "My dear, everyone makes mistakes. You are forgiven, but I cannot force that forgiveness on you. It's your choice." The true warrior of light accepts that forgiveness. Page 58. The warrior of the light is always trying to improve. Every blow of his sword carries with it centuries of wisdom and meditation. Every blow needs to have the strength and skill of all the warriors of the past who, even today, continue to bless the struggle. Each movement during combat honors the movements that the previous generations tried to transmit through the tradition. The warrior develops the beauty of his blows. 59. A warrior of the light is reliable. He makes a few mistakes. He sometimes thinks he is more important than he really is, but he does not lie. When people gather around the fire, he talks to his friends, male and female. He knows that his words are stored in the memory of the universe, like a testimony of what he thinks. The warrior asks himself, "Why do I talk so much, when often I am incapable of carrying out everything I say?" His heart replies, "When you defend your ideas in public, you then have to make an effort to live accordingly." It is because he believes that he is what he says he is that the warrior ends up becoming precisely that. Page 60. The warrior knows there are occasional pauses in the struggle. There is no point in forcing things. He must have patience and wait for the two sides to clash again. In the silence of the battlefield, he listens to his heart beating. He notices that he may be tense and afraid. The warrior takes stock of his life. He makes sure that his sword is sharp, his heart satisfied, that faith still burns in his soul. He knows that maintenance is as important as action. There is always something not quite right, and the warrior takes advantage of those moments when time stops to equip himself better. Page 61. A warrior knows that an angel and a devil are both competing for his sword hand. The devil says, "You will weaken. You will not know exactly when. You are afraid." The angel says, "You will weaken. You will not know exactly when. You are afraid." The warrior is surprised. Both the angel and the devil have said the same thing. The devil continues, "Let me help you." And the angel says, "I will help you." At that moment, the warrior understands the difference. The words may be the same, but these two allies are completely different. And thus, he chooses the angel's hand. Page 62. Whenever the warrior draws his sword, he uses it. It can be used to clear a path, to help someone, to fend off danger, but a sword is a capricious thing, and does not like to see its blade exposed for no reason. That is why the warrior never makes threats. He can attack, defend himself, or flee. All of these attributes form part of combat. It is not, however, part of combat to diminish the force of a blow by talking about it. A warrior of the light is always alert to the movements of his sword, but he never forgets that the sword is watching his every move as well. The sword was not made to be used by the mouth. Page 63. Sometimes evil pursues the warrior of the light, and when it does, he calmly invites it into his tent. He asks evil, "Do you want to hurt me, or use me to hurt others?" Evil pretends not to hear. It says that it knows of the darkness in the warrior's soul. It touches wounds that have not yet healed and calls for vengeance. It mentions certain tricks and subtle poisons that will help him to destroy his enemies. The warrior of the light listens. If conversation lags, he encourages evil to continue talking by asking all about its various plans. When he has heard everything, he gets up and leaves. Evil feels so weary and empty after all his talk that it does not have the strength to follow him.